Try it. Okay. All right, Zan, just speak up now.
Okay, well, now I've lost the image too, but, okay, this meeting is being, okay, got it. All right. Okay, well, if you can hear me through Glenn's phone, I'll just continue to use my phone and the image. Can we do this? Can everybody else hear me?
Yep.
Okay, so, let's call the meeting to order then at, 3:08, I think it is. Sorry about this. My computer just started crashing this morning, and it's good for about 3 minutes and then it's gone. So I'm on a strange computer with no tech support. I'm trying to make this work. Did you all get the minutes of the last meeting, or should we postpone that until the next meeting?
No,
Did you have a chance to read them?
I got
Yep.
the minute.
I got them.
Okay. Is Ed on here too or not?
He is not.
Okay. Well, are there any, I'd like to then make a motion to accept the minutes. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay.
Is there any discussion, any changes or amendments?
No.
Nope, I'm good.
Okay. Under old business, is Joyce on here?
I am.
You are.
Yes.
Okay. Do you have you thought any further since our last meeting about the repairs that should be done to the building? I know we discussed this briefly. I think I can't speak for all the members of the task force, but we have money in the budget that was approved for repairs and maintenance of the building during this fiscal year. And we're getting towards the end of exterior work season and really need to get on doing some work to help protect the building through the winter. That would be my first priority. Does anyone have a different priority?
No, it's okay.
I mean, is there anything else that you think is important for us to address with the money that we have for repairs and maintenance? Other than windows and door sills in particular, and putting some protective paint on stair railings and things that are down to the wood.
That sounds, go ahead, Glenn.
So yeah, so in the minutes, I think I'm reading here, right? It says proposed fiscal year 22-23 improvements within approved budget. So it has Joyce here, says waiting for the Board of Selectmen to determine the status of the building, has not made any commitments on improvements for fiscal year 22-23. Then it says Zan Charity here felt it would be irresponsible not to maintain the building with the money that has been approved in the budget. Task force would like to provide some suggestions on work to be completed with the money in the budget. So I would like to perhaps come to some kind of an agreement here. I think that, yes, I think we need to complete our work here as a subcommittee as fast as we can. I think we might need a couple more meetings, as we talked about last time, going a little bit further than the 6 months.
Well, especially since Marge is away for the entire month of September and not even available for Zoom meetings. So
yeah, so I think this report that we have to compile needs to, as I've said for months, has to have a bunch of dollar amounts to it. What needs to be done to the house, but also can I finish for a second? I need to finish.
Yeah, it's a different topic, though.
Including ADA approval. So we need so again, it's a domino effect here. So the Board of Selectmen need a report so that we can approve what needs to be done. But you're right in the sense that yes, winter is
They're two
coming.
different things. This topic is repairs and maintenance in the annual fiscal year budget. It's not the future of the building. It's not what has to be done for ADA if the building is continued to be owned by the town. We have money in the budget. for the fiscal year 22, 23. And it's earmarked specifically for their section specific for repairs and maintenance. And I feel very strongly that we have a responsibility to help continue to maintain this building, whether it's sold, retained by the town, completely changed for different use. The exterior still needs to be protected. And not to do that, I feel is irresponsible. It doesn't have anything to do with the future decision of the building. If you want to sell the building, you got to sell it better if you have it in better condition. And you can't, among the comments that have come in from people on the survey, there are a number of comments about the poor guardianship of this building by the town. And I would like, as a committee, not to continue to move in that direction. I think we need to make a recommendation to the selectmen or to whomever that this money be spent as it was designed to be spent to take care of the building itself in its present condition. So do you not agree with that, Glenn?
I'm going to read our charge again, if I may. So the charge of this committee, as proposed February 3rd, is this: update the Swift House Action Plan of February 2021 regarding the short-term and long-term physical needs of the building, study options for the future utilization of the building, and present its findings to the Board of Selectmen for their consideration. That's all I'm saying. That we need all this information. Everything you're saying is true. We need this information, and we got to present it to the Board of Selectmen as quickly as we can. Yeah.
That is a different topic.
Okay.
Okay. As a private citizen who signed up for this charge for a very different charge until you and the selectmen changed it, our responsibility was really in the very beginning and throughout until this past spring. Our responsibility was to analyze, prioritize, and look after the repairs that needed to be made for the building, and to report to the selectmen recommendations for the future. We did that. It was not addressed by the Board of Selectmen. It was just shoved to the side and not even taken seriously. I'm not sure I want to stay on this committee if we cannot have any influence over caring for the building that belongs to the town. I know you took us off. You changed the charge, Glenn, and I appreciate that you wanted to focus on one thing. But I do not want to be personally associated with neglect of this building any longer. And if we can't have any influence and we can't make a recommendation, Joyce was willing to entertain a recommendation when we talked about this at the last meeting. But I don't want to be associated with the neglect of the building when there's money to be spent on repairs and maintenance. So I would like to address this with the Board of Selectmen. I can't see, last year we spent nothing because the selectman's office couldn't find a contractor when it was no longer up to us. There were no contractors found to address these needs in the 21-22 fiscal year budgets. And so the money was spent on connecting the building to the sewer system, which doesn't help protect the building and wasn't necessary at that time. And I don't want to chair a committee that is not taking care of the building. So if you're not willing to stand with the rest of the committee on making a recommendation to the selectmen, then I have to think about my position here.
I'm sorry you feel that way, Zan. I'm here on this committee. This was the charge of this committee.
It was not the original charge, and the members of the committee never agreed to a new charge. It was imposed upon us. So, I've never been happy about the change. I've been willing to work toward doing a report. I think a report is important and needed. But at the same time, I'm not willing to sit back and see the building go through another winter when it's not protected and nothing is being done, even though the money has been earmarked in the budget for that purpose.
Can I interject here? I'm a little bit confused. Over time, if we've made recommendations and the money has been earmarked, why is it not being done? I understand the new charge is different than the old charge, but why hasn't the money that's there not been spent? I'm not trying to take sides or anything. I'm just very confused about where we are. We've got this final report to be submitted to the Board of Selectmen that talks about the costs of all of these things. I feel like we've done that before to a certain extent. Just where I don't know. I'm at sea with this. I don't. I'm not quite sure what I'm asking. I hear what both of you are saying, and I think you're both right, but where are we right at this minute with the money that had been earmarked is my question.
At the last meeting, the topic was raised, and Joyce's opinion was that she hadn't planned to do anything with the money that's there for repairs and maintenance until a decision was made about whether the town would continue to own the building or what would the future of the building be.
Okay.
And I feel extremely strongly that money is there, earmarked for repairs and maintenance. There are a lot of repairs and maintenance that really need to be done to help protect the building, and not to do it for a second year in a row is irresponsible. And whether it's the charge of this committee or not, maybe as a private citizen concerned about the building, which is why I became involved in this to begin with, I perhaps I should address it at a selectmen's meeting. But I think it's very unfortunate for the town to take the opinion that they're not going to do anything. Even though the money's there and approved, they're not going to do anything until further notice, and maybe never. I don't know.
But
when were those repairs done to the chimney and the roof?
They were done in the
What year was that?
In the fall of in the spring and fall of 71.
No. I mean very recently. The chimney and the roof recently with all the rodents and everything.
2021.
21.
We started to do this in 2021.
So last year, with funds from what, the Emily Hobson Fund, I believe, there were extensive repairs done to the house. Correct?
Right. That was over a year ago.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good,
But
because
it doesn't help protect the windows or the door sills that are rotten.
but I'm saying that very recently, with rodents and with the elements and with water coming in, the previous the previous subcommittee went to the Board of Selectmen. I wasn't there at the time. I just read the notes, and work was done.
Right.
So positive work has been done with this committee and the Board of Selectmen just recently. I think that's still possible. I think that's still possible. Now, we don't have an Emily Hobson fund. I think we just have a $13,000 budget for the Swift House for this year. But so we have less to work with.
But we have $6,000 to $8,000. I don't have it in front of me because I don't have all my work here. But we have money in the budget, several $1,000s. It's specifically earmarked for repairs and maintenance. And nothing was spent on repairs and maintenance in last year's budget because the contractor we wanted to work with couldn't fit into a schedule. Joyce took over at that point. Wasn't even in our charge. She wasn't able to find another contractor. So the money instead was spent on hooking up to the sewer system. That doesn't help preserve the house. We have money now for repairs and maintenance in this year's fiscal year budget that should be spent for what it's earmarked for. And not
Suzanne?
just some. Yeah,
That's incorrect. I spent $6,500 repairing doorways, the front doorway, the back doorway, the room next to the bathroom upstairs. I did spend money on repairs in addition to money to connect it to the sewer. And yes, I did say that I was not prepared to make a concrete decision on how to spend this year's money, but I take offense that you're calling me irresponsible in not going ahead and planning something right at this given moment. I have all intentions of meeting with a contractor and making the building weather tight. And I'm sorry that there's this misunderstanding, but we've spent 20 minutes talking about it. And I don't feel that I'm being irresponsible, and I take offense to that.
okay, I didn't say you were irresponsible. I said, I think the town would be irresponsible not to continue to spend the money on repairs and maintenance that's earmarked for that purpose.
But Zan, when you say that, the town is the Board of Selectmen and Joyce, like when you say that, that's where the offense comes in.
Okay, well, the last I heard, nobody was going to spend any money on anything until a decision was made about the future of the building. And that was what raised the issue to begin with. That was what was stated at the last meeting.
Well, I see two things going forward. Joyce has just said that the place will be buttoned up for the winter. We're getting close to
Okay.
the survey period to see what people want to do with it. And maybe it'll be easier to make a decision about the future of the town once the survey results are read.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
think we've made a
Well,
lot
I'm
of great
very glad-
progress.
Joyce, I'm very glad to hear that you do plan to spend money on, the things that need to be done to protect the exterior of the building. And if there's any way in which we can be helpful, suggesting contractors or whatever, we're happy to do that. But that was not what was said at the last meeting. So we can table this topic if there's been a change of heart and work will be done on the exterior. Okay, so for the final report, we have a whole list of things that need to have dollar signs to put next to them. We in the first report we did, there was an estimated budget that's now 2 years old. COVID has taken place in the meantime. There have been a lot of increases in cost of pretty much everything. So we'll need to coordinate with you, Joyce, on what's being handled on the exterior in the normal fiscal year budget so that we can determine what other things can't be covered in that and get updated prices for exterior repairs. There's some exterior painting needed. I think we could do with a minimal amount in the short run, but we need to also look to the future because there's some siding issues that should be looked at. I'm willing to work with a painter on that, and if you have other painters, we could use more than one bid on that, Joyce. The porches, the railings in particular, are down to bare wood. Rather than have them rot, they really need to be covered with paint. So, I will look at the painting issues, both interior and exterior. Joyce, I don't know where things stand on ADA restroom. I did talk to one contractor who gave me an estimate for labor, but not materials at the time because he didn't know when the work would be done. So that's a pretty incomplete estimate. But do you want, since if ADA work needs to be done, it'll be done by the town. So perhaps you can look after the ADA issues. Ed had offered to try to help with the yardscape quotes.
Sorry, Zan, can I go back to ADA for a second? So at the
Yeah.
last Board of Selectmen meeting, Jean said that she was going to talk with Wes Wyrick about that she's got the checklist and she was going to talk to Wes. So I don't know what happened with that, but
Okay.
she said she was looking into.
Yeah, I don't recall the name. I have it in my notes somewhere, or I can get it from Stan again. But when we had our meeting with, with the building inspector and the fire marshal, they suggested a couple architects in particular that are very well versed in ADA requirements and code issues. When I asked Wes Wyrick about this, I met with him, it's probably a year ago now. He didn't really have much to, I think he goes to a consultant. So, and as far as I know, looking back through the records of Wes's involvement with the building and the work that he did, he was paid well for his work. I don't think he's, he doesn't normally, I don't know how busy he is and whether he would, but he wasn't very forthcoming about offering time when I met with him before. So, and I don't think he's probably the right person. If he were, the building inspector would have said, "Oh, go to Wes." He knows all the ADA rules, but I think he relies on others too. So, and I also don't know from the meeting that Jean had with John Worthington. I'm not clear, and I had asked you if you could try to find out at the last Board of Selectmen meeting. Was it ever determined whether, A, if there are no significant changes, if we have to do full ADA compliance, B, whether the ADA compliance is determined by use or by ownership, because there are two different lists and categories of requirements.
Yeah, I think we're still working on those things. I brought this up at the last meeting, and Jean said she was looking into that and exactly what needs to be done and how much it would be, how much it would cost. So
perhaps it would be valuable to have a meeting including Jean and John Worthington and see if we can get this issue nailed, because I have all the lists of requirements, but I don't know whether we are required to go by municipal standards, since there are no municipal offices functions that take place in this building, or whether we go by use. If we go by use, then we'd like to put in an ADA access, entrance and bathroom. That's been on the list since the first report that we provided to the selectmen. But we may not need to do anything else at this time.
And once again, at the last meeting, I very clearly stated that it was determined that the ADA minimum requirements are based upon the fact that it is owned by a municipality, regardless of the offices that are in there. So we clarified this last meeting.
Remember that, yeah.
Okay, so this was what John Worthington advised? That was a question. Was that what John Worthington advised in his meeting with Jean?
Yes.
Okay, so we have to go by municipal standards, even though there are no municipal functions there.
That's correct.
Well, then, the whole interior of the building is going to need an overhaul, because most of the doorways are not compliant, most of the entryways. So then your office will take care of those estimates, Joyce, for the town?
I'm sure that there will be discussion at the Board of Selectmen level as to how we're going to move forward with meeting that checklist. Yes.
Okay. Well, we're charged with doing a report that is going to require numbers. People are not going to vote at a town meeting about whether the town should continue to own and maintain this building and for what use, if they don't have a fairly accurate cost. So if the town is going to require that, even though there's no change of use, I think, you know, it would be great if you could work with those requirements and get some figures.
I will bring this up at the next Board of Selectmen meeting, as I've done before. I will do it again.
Okay, so there wasn't any discussion about that at the last meeting, Glenn?
There was not.
Okay. Okay, so the ADA requirements, I think then, you know, should be left in the hands of the selectman's office. But we'd like to have the numbers to include and review and discuss with the selectman's office for our report. That will also affect any kind of reconfiguration. Glenn, would you be willing to work on the one of the other items on the list is the back room in the building is almost unusable because it's so cold in winter. It's only seasonal use.
Yep.
And if we were to put a rat slab, which is just a concrete slab instead of earth, you know, it's what was done some years ago with funds from the Hobson Fund, I guess, when they changed the basement from an earth basement to a concrete slab. So in this, there's access from the back of the building. You can see where the animals come and go under the doorways. They are the little access doors. And it's just earth. So it needs a rat slab and it needs foam insulation under the floor of the room above. So if you could, that requires a mason and somebody to do the foam insulation. Would you be willing to get figures on that?
Yes.
Okay, great. And also, I think we should, the upgrade to the HVAC system is in a capital budget for, I don't know, 3 years from now, I think. But I think we need to, if we're going to do major work, or the town's going to do major work to the building, if that's what the vote is, then that should be moved up and included in what's done at the same time. So I'll go back to the same contractor and find out what the upgraded cost would be if we were to do it within the next year. And I could, and Marge, if you have time to get a hold of the Gallaghers before you leave in September, and do you know, do another walk around to see what the exterior repairs are that would be required. That's another number that we need. Is there anything else you can think of that we haven't addressed that needs to be included in the updated report in terms of numbers? I mean, we did have a plan. Joyce, did you ever find the drawing of that plan? Or get from West Wyrick, get new copies of, you know, because that whole bundle of drawings that I gave you, it had 2 floor plans,
Yep, and
ground floor, second floor. Did you
I
ever
believe I
find them?
emailed them to you.
You found them?
I believe I emailed them to you, yes.
And the tracing? Well, you
Yes.
sent me the rest of them, but the floor plans and the proposed plan for changes were missing in the original set you sent to me. Did you send a subsequent set?
Yeah, I believe it had that tissue paper one. That was also included in what I sent you, yes.
Okay, because I didn't get it in the first set unless you sent, you know, we talked about it before, but since then you found it and sent it to me, right?
Yes.
Okay, all right, I'll look for it. Okay. So that's, does anyone have any other items on the list that we need to get prices for.
So you wanted from the Gallagher's just exterior stuff, Sam?
Well, I'm particularly the windows, the door sills, the doors, whatever.
That's what I'm saying. Just outside though, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Unless, I mean, the interior work, the proposed plan, that may be something that they would be interested in doing, but I had asked Glenn if he would inquire about whether there are any funds that are available for us to meet with a consulting architect on code issues, because we have a plan that we discussed in the first committee and again on the second committee, and it seemed a good plan for some modest interior improvements, but we need to get input on ADA and on regular code requirements.
I
And
think we should just stick to the exterior for now. Just get that done. Focus on that.
the whole proposal, the proposal that we made before was that there were some improvements that were recommended, and there was a budget that was included, but the budget needs to be updated to current costs. And if it has to be in real numbers, then we really need to have access to a compliance consultant architect. But we don't have any, we've never had any funds for this committee. So I'm wondering, did you ever ask that, Glenn?
Yeah, as far as I know, there are no funds for that. I mean, we took out the Emily Hobson fund. There's no more left there, and I think the only
that
the only
wasn't
funding
my
left is the budget. So I don't know if there's anything else.
Well,
I don't believe there
I
is.
mean, initially, when we started working on this, there were no funds for the Swift House really for any of this work. But the selectmen had a sort of selectmen's controlled fund of money that, you dip into from time to time for an emergent need. And I wondered if there was any money in the selectmen's fund or whatever. I don't know what it's called, but I know there is this fund. Would it be possible to use some money from that fund for us to have a consulting meeting with an architect who's versed in code compliance and ADA?
I'll ask that at the next meeting. Yes.
Okay, all right. So I think that's it as far as I know, unless anybody has any other things that they think we should put estimates to in order to complete this updated report. Okay. The meeting schedule. Are there any other, aside from costs, are there any other areas of the review? I think we need to certainly focus on the results of the survey and include a narrative of that in the report too. Those are coming in. But before, I'd like to try to address the meeting schedule, because at the end of the last meeting, I think, Glenn, you had to go and we didn't have time to nail those dates. We had on the suggested agenda. I mean, it would be nice to be able to make the remaining meetings regular meetings so that we don't have to stick rigidly to a special meeting agenda. We have meetings scheduled for August 10 today. next Wednesday, not next Wednesday, Wednesday, August 31st at 3 p.m. Then there was also something for Thursday, September 8th at 7 p.m. because Glenn is not going to be able to meet in the daytime once school starts. So he had requested that we have meetings after dinner. Is Wednesday or Thursday better for people? Does it matter to you?
Yes, Thursday for me.
Wednesday doesn't work for you, so that we need to shift to Thursday.
Yeah, the second Thursdays of the month will work for me.
Okay, but we cannot just meet once a month anymore. We're never going to finish our report. So I think we have to schedule meetings at least twice a month.
I have two Board of Selectmen and a noise and traffic. It's going to be very difficult for me to do two a month.
Well, that's one of the reasons this has taken such a long time, is we've only met once a month. And it's hard to make progress. I thought you said that the noise and traffic was about to end, do you think?
It may be. It depends on how it goes.
How often does that meet? I mean, you don't have ARPA anymore, do you?
I don't have ARPA, no, but noise and traffic, they had been meeting once a week. Now that's slowing down a little bit, but I'm not quite sure where we're going with that.
Okay, but that has met once a week. ARPA's met once a week. We've been meeting, like we have the rest of the decade to finish this, and we really need to wrap it up. So I'm trying to see if we could, and March is going to be away for the month of September. So if, I also have to get a hold of Ed, because without Marge and Ed, we don't have a quorum. So I'll have to see if Ed can come on the 8th, but I think the evening hours are better for him too, because it doesn't really affect his work. Can you humor us, Glenn, and see if we can get this over with quickly and meeting at least twice a month?
Zan, I will have to really talk to the place I work at, because I work as well along doing this. I'm not sure. I'm really not sure if I can do two a month. I too am busy. So
yeah,
I too am busy.
Dan, I've been wondering about maybe getting an additional person on this task force so that we don't have to scramble. One thing, don't have to scramble to get a quorum. It might help distribute the workload. And if some of us can't be there twice a month, I don't know. I think we're all getting very frustrated at this point.
I think so too. And that's why I want to try to wrap it up. But we aren't going to be able to wrap it up quickly if we just go from month to month to month.
But if we can't meet more than once a month, and I totally understand Glenn's schedule, we may have to just keep going once a month. It may take longer, but I think if we can just stay focused and try to get this figured out, especially once the survey results come in, that may answer some questions for us.
Well, the rules of the town committees and subcommittees don't allow us to meet a fraction of a committee or, have discussions between meetings that are not a part of the public record. So only having a meeting once a month is just, I don't know how we finish a report. It's going to take drafting and some revisions. We have to get the figures that we're talking about together. We have to analyze the survey results and do a narrative on that. We're talking the end of the year, and I'm not going to be here at the end of the year. So I want to get this done. I'd really like to get it done, hopefully by the end of October. That's 4 more meetings, 5 more meetings. I work with any schedule that works for you, Glenn.
At this time, I just can't tell you. I'm filled up at this point. I work at night. I teach during the day. I work at night. I do dorm duty. It's very difficult.
Well, do you think Rufus has more time? Is he on a lot of committees now? He's been doing in the past, a lot of interviewing and hiring, but I think most of that's over with.
We could ask him.
I would like to suggest that we table this until the August 31st meeting.
Okay. So we will not publish a schedule of regular meetings.
Not yet.
31st on the agenda. And then, and not even the one that we had agreed to before, which is Thursday, September 8th. I mean, should we at least stick with that one?
I'm not going to be here for that.
Okay, all right. Okay, so I want to talk to Ed about this too and see if he's gonna, you know, if we have fewer members, it's in a sense easier to have a quorum. Okay, so let's talk about the survey. Have all of you taken a look at the survey results so far?
Not recently, no.
I have not, no.
Okay, well, I think that Jean sent access to all of us. I've looked through them. There are a lot of comments, interesting comments. The direction seems to be tilted toward the town continuing to own and maintain the building and use it for civic use. But, you know, we're not there yet. We have 200 and I don't know. Do you, Joyce, do you have any idea how many responses are in? Because it's been a couple weeks, or I guess it's at least a week ago that there were something like 260 responses. But has Jean didn't get it out when she had originally proposed. It didn't go out till several days later. So I don't know if we've changed the follow-up schedule and if she's remembering to, in the August newsletter, she was going to put a link and a reminder. Did that happen? Hello, are you there?
I'm sorry, I had somebody walk in my office for another project. I have not reviewed them and I saw her very briefly today and she did not discuss Swift House.
Would you remind her of the follow-up so that you know, we get continued input? I somehow lost the video, so I'm not on here anymore. I mean, not yeah.
Zan, I don't think I got the link to check the results. I just checked both of my emails and I don't find it. So if you could forward that.
Okay, I'll forward to you what she sent to me when I can get my computer functioning again.
Same with me. I don't think I received that either, actually.
Okay, all right. So I'll make sure that both of you get it either from Jean directly or from me. I have to see if I can get my computer to, it just works in momentary spasms. So I'm waiting till I get home from Vermont to get it fixed. I'll get that to you and then we can discuss the survey when we have more information. So we might as well adjourn at this point. It is about, what is it? 3:55, 3:53.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So thank you guys. And I'll look forward to feedback on these costs. And if you need any contractor suggestions, you know, Glenn, I have masons that I've been in touch with before, the ones that did the chimney work, and whatever I can help with. And in the meantime, I'll try to get the painting numbers.
Okay, yeah, if you could send me information from someone I could talk to about this rat slab, that'd be helpful.
Okay, all right. Thanks a lot.
All right. Thank
Okay.
you.